this is my yard machine 21-inch lawnmower I got from my neighbor. I think he was going to throw it out. It's been sitting in the garage for a long time. So I'm going to check it out. First I'll check the oil. I might have to change that just to look and see here. Wow. So the oil looks clean. So I'm not going to worry about that now. I'll see about that later. I'm not quite sure how to change it. So I'm not a professional on this, just by the way, just to let you know. Gas. I had put a little gas in here already. So it should be a little gas. Okay. When I got the lawnmower, there was no gas at all in there, so I put some in there. It's a primer. I don't know what that little black box is. And I assume the other circle box is the filter. Let's see. Okay, so it's not starting. So here I go. First I'm going to take off the filter. And that's the one way I can get to the carburetor. And I see that the screws are all metrics. So I got a metric set of millimeters. And I think I'm going to use the smallest one, which is probably 10 millimeter. Yeah, that's a 10 millimeter socket I'm going to use. Take off the screws. And all look like they're about the same size, 10 millimeters. So I might get lucky, just use this one socket to take everything off. Okay, so I'm getting to have to get to the carburetor, so these screws are kind of, nothing wrong with the screws, it's my socket is messed up. Okay, now that I got the filter plate off, there's some things I have to be careful of. There's a gasket right behind that, so I have to put that to the side. Just remember that there's a gasket there. So as you can see, I used some vice grips to seal off the flow, the fuel line flow, and that's the hole for the filter. And the silver thing, of course, that's the carburetor. Now I'm trying to disconnect the primer line. You have to twist it a couple of times, and you know it'll come off. And I'm using a pair of pliers to take the clamp off the fuel line, and that's going to have to come off. It's a little stubborn. You can see I have to take your time pulling off this carburetor, because there's another gasket behind that also. So once I get that off, just a couple of twists, and the carburetor will come right off. Now you have the linkage, the throttle linkages here. You have a thin wire, and you have a longer metal wire you have to take off. Just take your time in doing that, because the black parts are all plastic, so they break easily, probably, but just be careful. Now that I have the filter off, I have to take off the, I guess this screw in the middle that disengages the bowl, takes the bowl off itself. Yep. Okay, I didn't have to use that one, but there's a little bit of gas left in there. And be careful, there's a black washer, very thin washer in there. You have to be careful of it doesn't come off. I heard it was kind of hard to get back on once it come off. But this is the filter. I mean, this is the carburetor. So I brought the carburetor indoors because it was getting kind of hot outside, over 90-something degrees, 95 degrees. And this is the floater, and that's the rod I took out. And right in the middle at the top there, that's the, I guess a little spike or pin that goes down inside the floater. I don't know what it's for, but I know it's there. Just be careful when you take it out, because there is a spring and it pops on you. So that's a plastic piece also. And inside this carburetor is a bunch of holes. In the middle is what I have to try and get out here, which is the item called the main jet. It's two pieces. It's a screw that screws out. That's the main jet. Then there's the jets that's inside of that. I was thinking I didn't have a carburetor cleaner. Those little carburetor wires that clean little holes and stuff like that. So I just realized what I could maybe use, and I tried, was the bread tie wires. The little bread tie wires here. So what I did, I just stripped them down. As you can see the little wire here. That's on the right, maybe you can see it. Yeah, so I just stripped it down. Use that to clean out the little holes, as you can see coming up in the video. And that seemed to work okay. Just take your time and feed the wire through every hole that you see. And as you punch it through, you can wipe it off on the other end, so you won't be pulling the sediment back in there, which I didn't do. So, but just make sure every hole is taken care of. You can blow it with your, breath, or use a can air compressor, to just blow out the little stuff that's in there. You have to get every detail, even the little main jet, which is a little screw. You have to clean that out also. So there are other holes inside this carburetor. Anything you see there's a hole in it, you can try your best to clean it out. Okay, time to put this thing back together. I got the floater. I have the pin with the spring. Be careful, because that spring pops off. It can fall anywhere. It's hard to find. I didn't record that part. Once I get the floater on, get the pin, put the pin back in. Now this is all inside because it was burning up outside. It's so hot. I came in the house. Now I'm going back out to the backyard and finish up everything. And put in the main jet back in. And be careful, it just has to be hand tightened. You don't have to tighten it too hard, because it is brass and it will strip a little bit, I guess. That's what I heard. Once you get it hand tightened, you should be good to go to put things back together. Okay, time to put this thing back together. Now, first thing you should do is what I think I didn't show you here, is put the throttle linkages back on. Okay, I'm replacing the fuel bowl. You should take your time, because sometimes that little gasket, it's a rubber gasket in there, comes off. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get back on. Now I can use my pliers to place the clamp back on the connection, release my vice grips from the fuel line, And it should be good to go. Make sure you put your gasket back on. Make sure you put it in a place where you can find it also. Now I'm connecting a primer tube back to the carburetor.
That's a brand new lawnmower.
There is a filter tube also. You have to make sure it's connected. You have to line it up when you put it back on. When you put the screws and stuff back on, just make sure that thicker hose, which is the filter hose, is connected also.
I know I need to be on my treadmill for at least 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta get another one, but they cost so expensive.
All the ratchets down there.
They're too big for this, for stuff like this. It works sometime, you know, but it's kind of stripped.
Okay.
Okay, so I cleaned out the carburetor. Like I say, I'm not a professional, but thanks to a guy on YouTube showing how to do it. There you see the description below. Cleaned out the carburetor, filter, got out all the old gas, and moment of truth. See what happens. Wait.